This content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill no one.
Wait a second.
No. We
return to our planet. The High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies. We like movies. Septum Sin versus the world. 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 I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching Septum Sin of Septum Sin versus the World. And I'm actually here with a guest today for a pickup video because Jake is doing work. I mean, who would do that? But I'm here with Dustin from Inside Movies Galore and the Crypt of Horrors, which if you have not subscribed, you should. They have some amazing things. This is some of the horror vinyl that I've seen on there. I don't see hardly anywhere else. So you should check it out.
Yeah, I put a lot of effort into my collecting, so I'm always happy to show my stuff off. I got a lot of stuff that I haven't uploaded yet, so please subscribe and encourage me to keep posting.
And, you know, down below, as always, there is a link to the channel, so you should check it out. I've left a link on this to that channel for a long time, so y'all should have looked at it by now. But I was going to show off a couple things that I picked up. I'm going to just kind of do my typical, I'm going to do the typical 5, but I'm also doing Jake's 5 too. So, but one of them is a video game I picked up the other day. And I'm going to broaden this to show it off. I picked up Metroid Dread.
Now that was... I saw the demo for that, and I'm not sure like how. I haven't heard any reviews or anything, but it's pretty new. Oh, did you get? Is that like a pre-order pin?
Yeah, I got the pre-order pin. I actually paid it off a little bit over like a 6-month period. And I used to be a huge fan of the 2D Metroids. I mean, keep in mind, I was an 80s kid, so I grew up with the original Metroid, Super Metroid, the Game Boy Advance Metroids. Really loved Zero, Suit Samus. I didn't get into the Prime games.
Well, same here with some exceptions. Like Metro, we had Metroid on NES, but I was kind of little, so I didn't like fully appreciate it. And I remember I loved renting Super Metroid, but my dad could never find it for sale, so I didn't have it. My freshman year of college, the Wii was still like a thing, and it was actually the only game I bought digitally for the Wii. And I was able to complete Super Metroid, which is one of the best games of all time. I actually had a lot of experience with the Prime series, so I completed the first one, and I came pretty close to finishing the second one, which was just a little bit too large in scope. It was kind of like too many things to collect. But I've heard people are excited for Metroid Dread, so I'd like to know what you think about it.
It's actually on my list. As soon as I finish Resident Evil 8, I'm going to be diving into this wholeheartedly. I only get like 1 or 2 days on the week that I can play. And Resident Evil 8 has swallowed me whole for the most part, with just one exception. I played Catherine and it drew me in, but I beat it in 1 day, so.
I bought Aliens Fireteam Elite when it came out in August, and I've been playing it pretty much non-stop ever since.
Oh, it looks pretty awesome as far as like a wave shooter type thing goes.
It is very good. It's just kind of repetitive after a certain point. Like I have everything unlocked, I have everything leveled. All I need to do now is be at like the really high difficulty levels, but you need a very strong coordinated team for that, and I haven't found anybody with a high enough skill level.
Well, my second pickup is one that is a Terry Gilliam film. I actually upgraded Jabberwocky to Criterion. I did not like this film when I saw it originally. I do want to see it again in high definition to see if it looks any better. I like Terry Gilliam's stuff, and and Dane, of course, he had watched it for the first time not long ago. Matter of fact, I helped him watch it through this, and he really enjoyed it. He's going to probably talk about it in his upcoming Alice series that's coming in next year. So, not much of Alice in this, other than Jabberwocky, though.
I mean, the Jabberwocky was an interesting creature. I think that's actually the only part of the book I've read, because in elementary school you have like the big literature book that has like excerpts from like books, and the part from Alice in Wonderland that was included in that anthology thing was the Jabberwocky part. So I know what the Jabberwocky is. I have no idea what's in that movie. But it sounds like one of those movies that maybe you'll like the second time you see it. Like A Clockwork Orange is an example for me. Like, I hated that movie the first time I didn't hate it. I was just indifferent to it. And then the second time I saw it, I was like, this is great.
It's kind of tries a little bit to take itself serious and a little bit not to. It's a, what do they call it? Let me see. Okay, good. It's sort of a dark comedy. Emphasis on dark. And the only part of this that made me laugh the original time was where they kept killing all the knights in the games, because the medieval games, jousting, hitting each other with the maces and the swords, and so many people were dying. It's like, we're running out of knights, so they opted to have the knights play hide and seek. So it shows the knights in the big armor going from tent to tent, trying to hide from one another. And it just that just cracked me up. But I have to watch it again. Like I say, I want to see it in clearer things. Sometimes when a movie is as dark as that is, because it wanted to show how dark and dreary castle life really was, and you couldn't see anything. So I wanted to see what it would look like in high definition. Now, this one here is one I'm sure Dave would love.
So another quick note on Jabberwocky. I have considered randomly buying it a couple of times just to see what it was all about. So,
well, it's interesting. If
on to the Yeti Experiment.
Well, if you want to, I've got this thing uploaded. If you want me to share it out a little bit, or you want to see it, I
just might try that.
Yeah, I can send you a link. So this one here, Dave would want, which is a movie called The Yeti Experiment.
Why?
Because I love really bad B films. This is a David Sterling.
Oh no!
And this came with the Ape box set that he put out.
Did you say 8 or ape?
Ape. Like, he did some Planet of the Apes parody movies. The Yeti Experiment. Scientists investigate mysterious disappearances at a research base where it has been reported a savage creature was spotted. So, yeah, again, I like B-level films like this.
Well, honestly, there's a lot of sci-fi movies with like reptiles as the monster that I greatly enjoy, and even though they're terrible, so maybe that has some value.
Well, I am going to be adding Komodo to my collection because
yes.
So
a lot of people I showed that to didn't like it, which confused me because it had really good effects, and the story was maybe kind of clunky, I think is the word I'd use, but it was fine.
Well, look forward to the fact I got Alligator finally in Alligator 2. I just need to rewatch both copies. I'm waiting until it gets closer to your selection.
You got like an import Blu-ray or something, right?
DVD, but I've got a region-free player, and it's great to have a 2-pack of that film.
I thought I had my region-free player working, so I bought like a bunch of imports, and then when I got them, it turns out my player isn't as good as I thought it is, and like half of the things I bought don't work in it. And it's like,
yeah, I love my player. It's allowed me to get things much cheaper and sometimes that don't even exist in the United States, like a DVD of Alligator 2.
The purpose of it for me is for collector editions that are like UK only. Like I Know What You Did Last Summer box set, for example. That's something that's UK only. That, you know, if you want those movies with any extras at all, like on Blu-ray, you have to get that, and it's Region B.
Yep, exactly.
Or, for example, Chainsaw Massacre 2. Like, I have this next to my computer because my Region B player is actually a USB disk drive, and I'm using a heavily modified version of VLC to play Blu-ray discs. So I thought I had it completely figured out with all of the stuff you had to download and do to VLC to make it able to play Blu-rays, but we're missing some parts, apparently.
I know my ripper actually does rip Region 2 stuff, which is really great.
I'm afraid to mess with any kind of actual burning software because I don't want to damage the disc. I don't want there to be any chance of me damaging the disc at all. Like, even if I was careful, like, I just want it to be completely off the table.
Well, this one's going to be the one that you don't have much on. This is the one anime I've got. Now, Jake bought the original series from me, which is X. Now, this is I got this version of it to save space because it's a 8-volume set, which when you've got limited space in your collection, 8 volumes is a lot of space taken up. So I sold it to Jake, and I bought this for about the same. So I was able to make up on that and save space in the collection. It is a very messed up series by Clamp, which is an all-female manga and anime studio, notably known for series like Cardcaptor Sakura.
I know that one.
And there's a couple others. Angelic Lair. But there's the style, you can actually see in the style here. They did Blood Sea, which is one of the more recent animations. The animation was very gory in that one, but the series was shit. I'm just going to say it. It was shit. This series is very messed up in many ways about possession, the fate of different. There's a lot of this. The fate of the stars. Where you have 2 constellation groups that fight one another, and this one has that. And there's a lot of nasty combat and violence in this series. There's also a movie called X 1999 that is the shorthand of this.
That sounds at least somewhat interesting. So
it's a dark as heck series.
I'm a violently anti-anime person. There are some things like there's some anime things I really enjoy, like Dragon Ball Yu Hakusho, anything Lupin. There's a handful of stuff. But for the most part, like I don't really get into anime because it's just such a large genre, and there's a lot of really weird stuff. You know,
it is. But that's the thing I like about anime is it's not all that different from anything else. It's just you pick your genre that you like and you run with it. And I've got, a matter of fact, I had a horror anime that I showed off, that we showed off a while back called Kakarambo, about a bunch of kids that play hide and seek in the city, and if they play it at this certain time of night, a monster is supposed to come out and devour their souls. I don't know why they decided it would be a great idea, but then again, do people in horror movies make logical decisions?
You know, it's kind of funny how a lot of horror movie things are, you know, these are the tropes of the genre. This always happens in every horror movie. And if you actually pay attention to every horror movie, like if you've seen them, a lot of those tropes are present only in one subgenre, slashers, and they don't even hit them all each time. So,
well, again, it's
hold.
Slashers are probably some of the most popular, though, when it comes to that.
And there was a period where they were fairly formulaic. Which honestly, it's a good formula. Pretty fun.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
But, I have to see more of the obscure ones, I think, to really get a grip on the phenomenon.
I recently got a Peeping Tom the other day. I need to watch the copy because I don't ever show used copies on here because I want to see if it works first. But I've heard that's one of the grandfathers of the slasher. So
I always prefer getting used copies because it feels more like an accomplishment. That's like, I found this. Actually, with Peeping Tom, that came out around the same time as Psycho, right?
I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was close to that. It
was the
one
same
of
year,
those,
wasn't it? I was pretty sure it was the same year.
It's one of those films that I know that they accredit it along with a couple of others. Like there's a whole bunch of them, like Bay of Blood, and just a whole number of these pre-slasher slashers that kind of define the genre. Which we really need to do. We should do a month, an Inside Movies Galore, of like the pre-slasher era of like these films that kind of were led up to the real slasher films, you know?
Okay, yeah, Psycho and Peeping Tom did come out the same year, so that still holds.
Because Psycho needs to be covered.
I personally prefer Peeping Tom over Psycho, and so I've had kind of a genre theory of my own for a while, because Psycho was the one movie that took off and became really popular and sort of laid the groundwork for a lot of the movies that would come after, and have just a huge influence on the horror genre. And I've always wondered what horror would look like today if instead Peeping Tom had been the one that took off, and its like sensibilities and structure and everything, you know, had been the one what influenced like the evolution of the genre. It's actually, I used that analogy in a science class of mine, and I think to explain another phenomenon, and I think I can use that to explain kind of what I'm talking about here. So the reason that a lot of flying insects are herbivores is because flight developed first in herbivorous insects. And the question was, what if flight developed first in carnivorous insects? Like, how different would flying insects be? So it's a similar situation to that. You know, how different would horror be if Peeping Tom was the foundation instead of Psycho?
A very interesting concept. Again, I need to see it. I really need to see that one.
I'm guessing it's a Blu-ray, right?
It's the DVD because they didn't do it. But it's a Criterion, so...
It's a Criterion DVD?
Yeah, Criterion did a release of that. And you know they up-res it very well for DVDs, but...
Do they have a Peeping Tom Blu-ray?
Not that I know of. And that one, and even that, the Criterion's out of print, which is rare. Criterion doesn't like to let their stuff go out of print, so that's really weird.
I know Don't Look Now is out of print, so I look for that whenever I can.
Yeah.
Because I've been meaning to see it, and I just never like picked it up, and then it went out of print, which I didn't even know Criterions could go out of print, so I was pretty taken by surprise with that.
I need to get Salo because I feel like that one will go out of print eventually.
Salo is on like my blacklist. Like, it's one of those movies that I never want to see.
Well, speaking of horror, I got the Fantasia Best of Mickey set. But actually, I upgraded this. I had the original, which had Fantasia and Fantasia 2000. But this one also has a lot of the original Mickey Mouse films, which, despite some of the evils Disney has done in the world, they've also given rise to some of the more creative things. And Mickey Mouse, love him or hate him, it's good to have some of those roots, especially in a collection. Fantasia had some amazing pieces. It is sad that it flopped as it did originally. And Fantasia 2000, I think, has been an overlooked masterpiece. To me,
I don't even remember Fantasia 2000. Like, I've seen it. I remember absolutely nothing about it. Like,
it's one that it came with not much fanfare and then went. I mean, Fantasia has some issues, like it has those racists, like the racist centaur and stuff like that. But
Oh,
you
I
know,
don't remember that now. Ugh.
it's still got some iconic stuff. And
Night on Bald Mount. The Night on Bald Mountain sequence
Mhm.
is like the best part of that movie, and
oh yeah,
honestly,
that's
I think
the-
the only thing of actual value, like with the name Fantasia on it.
as I say,
The
it's
rest
one of those.
kind of.
But if we look at it as back in the day, this stuff was experimental. I mean, that's the cool thing about it. Sometimes you got to go your firsts, and important films, nevertheless.
Exactly. It's kind of like, well, Never Science analogy. It's like, well, amoebas weren't, everyone's ancestor, but it's like studying amoebas, and these are important. There's more interesting things you can look at now,
Mhm.
but these were vital.
Yeah. It's always good to know where you're going to go.
So
So this one is probably one that, I don't know, you might know this film. It looked interesting. It was at the Dollar Tree.
oh dear,
And that is Hammer of the Gods.
no idea.
And it says unmistakable bloody gore, which,
Who's the quote from? It looks like one of those kind of throwaway action movies.
It does. It's a Viking action film. And
It sounds
I don't know.
interesting, at least. I mean,
it looks like a fun popcorn flick. $1, it's worth giving it a try. If I don't like it, I probably will end up selling it for more than that, because a lot of the Dollar Tree picks, once they go out of stock at Dollar Tree, they go back up. So I can only make money off of this.
yeah, a lot of the Dollar Tree stuff. I think how it works with Dollar Tree is that they get a good deal on like super bulk stuff that's like going out of print. Like I know Shout Factory stuff has ended up at Dollar Tree, so I
Yeah.
think Shout Factory and other like outlets just dump stock of whatever like to Dollar Tree, and that's where the Blu-rays come from.
And this is a magnet feature, which is also one that they don't do too huge of runs.
They get a lot of magnet stuff there. Like I think the last Blu-ray I got from Dollar Tree was like last year. It was Bad Milo, and I know that's a more popular kind of niche title. And it was definitely worth more than $1 when I got it, because I
Oh,
checked.
It was a fun film. Bad Milo was a fun film.
And I've seen much better stuff there too. So not so much anymore, really. But
Well, you
a
can
lot of
find
Dollar
stuff.
Trees a lot of Dollar Trees around me don't even get movies. So
Oh yeah, it's usually a search. I was surprised at some of these that I got. Now here's one you may have seen, but I have yet to see, believe it or not, which is a Goofy movie.
You haven't seen that?
Now, because it came out past the time that I was watching these types of films.
I suppose I was the target age group when it came out.
So, but everybody who has seen it, of course, this is one of their nostalgic films from childhood. So I wanted to go ahead and get it because it is considered a must pick up.
I agree. Well, what extras does that have?
Let's see here. I don't know if it even has any, but it's one of those Disney Movie Club exclusives.
Talking into the side of my mic this whole time.
But I was curious about it. I watched I know you don't care much for him, but I did watch Nostalgia Critics talk about this because he had also not seen it when and he's in my age demographic. So I was curious as to his reaction, and he had actually said this movie is really good in a lot of different ways.
It honestly is. It's I did not know Goofy could be in a story like that, like, and have it work so well. Like, I didn't think he had it in him whatsoever. The characters are kind of from the Goof Troop cartoon from the early 90s, where it's just Goofy and his son and their neighbors.
Which I have not
there's a
seen.
sequel to that that's actually pretty decent too, where Max goes to college.
That one I also have, but that'll be a later pickup.
So that one was fun too. But a Goofy movie is really cool. So a lot of people remember the finale the most. Like it's pretty cool.
Man,
Like I won't spoil it, even though I really want to. The power
Well, it
line
looks-
thing.
like I say, it looks like it's going to be fun. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. If
You
anything.
should watch it tonight, actually, if you really want to cheer yourself up. Like, give it, like, crack it open.
Let's see. So this one's another Dollar Tree pickup. It is J.R.R. Tolkien, Master of the Rings.
Oh, I think I've seen that. That's a documentary, right?
Yeah,
Or-
and this is actually a pretty cool thing. It comes with a booklet, a CD that actually has let's see here, has music of Middle Earth on it. And the story of the crafting of the books is a very interesting story. A lot of the World War II, actually the World War, I think, inspirations, various things. His friendship with the creator of the Chronicles of Narnia, which is also kind of cool as well. Them making that kind of bet with each other to see if they could write a book.
I'd say Tolkien won that bet. Because, like, the Chronicles of Narnia is okay. It's just a little bit too theological.
Well, yeah, they both have their interesting concepts, and I think that, yeah, definitely Lewis doubled down on the Christian theological.
Hyperbole, yeah.
Still,
But Tolkien was like a mega genius to create such like a huge world. So that's got to be. I'm kind of surprised you found that at Dollar Tree. Like that's probably kind of valuable to some extent.
Cool, like I said, it's a pretty cool set. It's actually well put together. It's got a heft to it.
I wonder how that price is like on eBay.
It's a good point.
Because a lot of times when I collect something, if it's used or if it's at a place like Dollar Tree, I'll scan it to see, what's the rate on this. Is this am I getting a good deal on this? With newer stuff, like it's easier because you just know like the price range and it's like, oh, this is $27 here. F that.
Jake and I got some Woody Harrelson movies there a while back, and they are much higher than they were. And they're just simple comedies like Scorched and a couple others like that. It's amazing what will go, especially when they're out of print like that.
Wasn't Woody Allen in some kind of scandal?
Oh, I'm Woody Harrelson.
Oh, Harrelson.
I'm sure he's got one too. They've all got one. So speaking of scandalous, I upgraded my copy of National Lampoon's Animal House to 4K.
Oh, I didn't even know that was out. That's cool.
I had one of the dingiest, nastiest DVD copies. I had an old library copy with no special features, torn artwork, and used gum that was stuck in part of the case. Which I got the gum out. That was before I was replacing cases. So I was like, you know what? I think this would probably be a good upgrade from that.
I actually have a kind of funny story about that movie. Way back in undergrad, I wasn't really a collector yet, but I was still buying stuff here and there. And my friends wanted to see Animal House. So I bought that DVD, the Animal House DVD, and another DVD at Walmart. And when we got back and I was looking over my receipt, they actually forgot to scan Animal House and had just put it in my bag. So I got that movie for free.
Wow.
And then it's kind of funny, like it's kind of sad, I guess, because we were watching it. This next part is sad because we were watching it and I got kind of bored and I actually went for a walk like in the middle of the movie. Which is something I really don't do. Like if I start a movie, like I finish it no matter how much I dislike it. Like Rogue One, for example, like that was tough. Like, oh my god. I think that was the worst movie I've seen in a really long time.
So did you ever go back to finish it?
I think I did rewatch it because I mean I owned the DVD and
It
Or
is a
it felt kind
movie.
of dated. It's like, you know, because I was in college at the time and like, it's nothing like this. What the hell is going on?
Well, keep in mind when it was made. And it is kind of a victim of its time. Very different. I don't think this film could be made today.
Well, Revenge of the Nerds holds up a lot worse.
Yeah.
Like, that movie kind of crashes to the ground.
Oh, yeah. I've watched a lot of it. I watched recently Legal Eagle's take on Revenge of the Nerds. And
I didn't know he did that.
yeah, he talked about well,
bet
it
it's
looks
pretty
like
grim.
Over committed murder at the beginning of the movie. Because he literally dropped somebody from his feet off of the third story of a building. So
At least Weird Science is still good, god damn it.
so these last two are not really high spending movies, and more like a bottom $4. And one of these is Voodoo Apocalypse.
I've actually seen that Blu-ray for $1, like here and there. But I've hesitated on picking it up because it's like, well, this looks interesting, but I kind of feel like it's a gamble at the same time.
Well, it's a kung fu, drug trafficking zombie film. So
Madness.
make of it as you will. I just look at these movies, and sometimes I like crazy fun. These things cheer me up on a bad day.
That's good. So, I mean, it does look, and the premise, it does look fun, and the premise sounds really interesting and probably also really fun.
That back actually has some pretty cool stuff there. I mean, you got the zombies over here, and kind of a Libre mask here. I think it's a Mexican movie, maybe.
I'm less of a zombie guy, so maybe that's part of why I didn't pick it up too.
The last one is one that I am very iffy about, which is a film called The Mad Bomber. I had this as a cart topper on last year's Rightstuf sale. It was 15 cents.
Wow.
You know, so it was like in an explosive plot filled with twists and surprises, Geronimo Minelli is a cop chasing a dangerous criminal, an insane bomber who targets schools and hospitals. However, before he can catch his man, he needs to diversify his efforts and track down a rapist first before the bomber strikes again. So, it sounds bad, but who knows? It might be good. I mean, 15 cents. I'm wondering.
Yeah, I almost want to watch that because it's like, why is it 15 cents? It's like,
when Rightstuf goes into their yearly, like, end of year sales, they have, I don't know why, because it's mostly an anime place, but they have these ones that are released by places like Ginyon, which did some anime releasing back in the day.
I remember
really
just tapes with that on it. Yeah.
Some of them are actually good horror. Like there was one I think called Psychodelica or something like that, which was pretty cool. So they will go not only on sale, but they will go on sale super cheap, hoping that you just use these as cart toppers.
Like Hamilton Books, which is crazy sometimes.
That's the idea, I think, really.
I don't know what's up with Hamilton Books. It's a strange website. Because, like, you'll go there and something that's like $10 everywhere else will be $4 there. And it's like, what's happening here?
Well, I got a whole bunch of stuff on Oldies, one of their sales. If you wanted to sift through all the trash they have, sometimes you can find some interesting stuff.
Well, Hamilton Books gets, like, brand new releases a lot of the times, too. Like, those are normal priced, but there's a lot of, like, other good stuff. Like, earlier this summer, I couldn't sleep, so I was just kind of thinking, I wonder if there's anything on Hamilton Books. And I was just kind of browsing around, and they had that documentary, Memory, The Origins of Alien. And it's like, you know, I've always wanted this. It's only $6. Okay. What else do they have? And an hour later, I had spent $145.
That's why it's so cheap. Because they can get a whole bunch of it.
Yeah, I got like 10 movies. The big one was Dead and Buried on 4K, the 4K Blu-ray set of that. That was like 45 by itself. So.
I need to see that one.
But at the time, Hamilton Books was pretty much the only place that actually had it in stock. So,
Well, I thank you all for watching this time. I hope you enjoy. Of course, I'll be back with Jake next week, and I'm going to force him to start seeing these horror pickups because I know how much he hates horror movies, but this is the time of year.
Also, sorry about my camera quality. My good camera is on the other side of the room and I can't move it, so that's why I'm all fuzzy.
Well, don't worry about that. He's got some really awesome. He's got a really awesome setup for that, for actually displaying a lot of the cool stuff. Also, when you wear the mask, like the Jason mask was the kind of the half. Yep. Which I've heard a lot about that lawsuit's finally wrapping up. So
I'm not quite sure if it is wrapped up. Like, I've been hearing stories about it's over, Victor Miller wins. And it's like, well, if it's over, if it is actually over, like, I'm waiting to hear from Larry Zerner, the guy who played Shelley in Part 3, who is actually apparently a pretty good lawyer nowadays and is like super familiar with the case and like follows it. He's kind of the only really trustworthy source for us fans.
I wonder if he wins, whether he's just going to sit on it and try and end the series.
Actually, from some of the posts I saw, that seems to be exactly what he's interested in doing.
Well, that's a sad thing because it came at the bad time when I was really hoping for that Friday the 13th downloadable content. I was hoping for the Jason X ship because that's what they were working on.
Victor Miller is the devil. I'm just going to say it.
But we'll see how it goes. But with that, I wish you all well and visit Crypt of Horrors. But we'll see you.
Whenever I smile, it looks like I'm missing my teeth. This is weird.
On the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.